Well, this morning here in Finding Faith, we're glad to have on board. This is Rabbi Meir Soloveitchik. And Rabbi, welcome to our show here. You wrote a book just recently, Providence and Power, 10 Portraits in Jewish Statesmanship. What is this book all about, and why is it so important to read it at this time in history?
Well, first of all, thank you, Randy. It's wonderful to be here with you. The book is about the biblical ideal of statesmanship, and it examines that by tracing great Jewish leaders from King David until today. And precisely because America is so profoundly impacted in its origins by political ideas found in the Hebrew Bible, I think it's vital for Americans to consider, is that biblical idea of leadership, and how we should keep that in mind as we seek to choose and form and fashion leaders in our own society today.
Okay, so you think that our country is founded on biblical principles, and you think that we kind of strayed away from that? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Well, I think that one of the primary influences in the country's founding was the political and covenantal ideas in the Hebrew Bible. Benjamin Franklin's suggestion for the seal of the United States as part of a committee of Franklin, Adams, and Jefferson, founded on July 4th, 1776, was Moses at the splitting of the sea with the motto, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. I'm not arguing, of course, that the Hebrew Bible was the only influence in the founding of America. But our country saw itself as a covenantal people being formed around a series of ideas. And in that respect, it saw itself as not replacing, of course, but living in parallel to and inspired by the story of biblical Israel. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's at the heart of the founding of our country. And it is something that we've forgotten to some extent today.
We sure have, absolutely. Hey, what makes Jewish statesmanship so unique?
So let's take the premier biblical political leader, which is King David. King David, of course, is a mighty warrior, and he's a brilliant military strategist and a brilliant political actor. And yet he balances his incredible majesty with a profound religious humility. He's both, I paraphrase a Jewish essayist in saying, he is both actor and acted upon. And, you know, I once asked my friend, the great British historian, Andrew Roberts, could he name any great European statesman that reflected the virtue of humility? And he didn't have any. You know, Winston Churchill is one of my heroes. I love Winston Churchill. But no one would say that he was humble. That wasn't something for which he was known. But David, if you read the Psalms,
and I've been reading about David here just in the past couple of weeks or so. So I'm very familiar with it. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Great. So when you read David, I mean, David, in the most brilliant moment of his early career, is facing off against Goliath. When he's standing before King Saul, Saul asks him, like a sort of biblical HR, asks him for his resume. Why can you go up against Goliath? David begins to list how he's beaten the lion and the bear, and it sounds like he's just describing his skills, but then he suddenly shifts and says, the God who has saved me from the lion and from the bear, he will save me from this Philistine. And if you read Psalms is a description of his triumphs and his failings, David's triumphs and failings. And in describing his triumphs, precisely in describing moments that could have been a reason for his own self-glorification, he gives credit to God. And the truth is, at the greatest moments of American statesmanship, let's say Lincoln, where on the one hand, Lincoln is engaging in incredibly bold and independent political action. He's also pondering with humility the notion that he's part of a story that's much larger than himself, that the designs of providence are those that which he could scarcely fathom. And he reflects all this. He reflects this balance, this biblical balance, in what I think is the greatest political speech in American history, which is the second inaugural, which is really more of a sermon than an inaugural address.
Yeah, I think, too, what you're saying is that we need a little more humility in this country here. And instead of saying, I can do it myself, I don't need God. But no, we do need God here, and we need to put our trust in him.
And humility, of course, doesn't mean that a leader is passive. It means that faith and a knowledge that there are things greater than oneself that can actually inspire the proper, bold actions of leadership.
Yes, totally agree with you. Rabbi Sali, we appreciate that. And again, the title of the book is Providence and Power just came out, and I think it'll be good reading for everybody. Rabbi, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.